Welcome to True Crime Storytime. The channel explores true cases, revealing the mystery behind the crimes through each fascinating and dramatic story. In the early morning of June 24, 2019, an emergency call was made to Hampton, Virginia police, reporting the disappearance of a 2-year-old child named Noah Tomlin. The small boy with blue eyes and a sweet smile was an indispensable part of the family's life. But now, Noah had mysteriously disappeared. The mother, Julia Tomlin, claimed that her son was in bed at 1 a.m., but by noon, he was no longer there. What started out as a simple missing person case quickly became a national sensation. Search teams from local police to federal agencies rushed to the scene in hopes of finding Noah safe. But as they uncovered more details, they realized that the truth behind the disappearance was far from simple. This was not just a case of a child's disappearance, but a tragedy that raised the question: how could a small, innocent creature like Noah meet such a cruel end? This case not only shook the Buckroe Beach community, but also left a heavy echo in everyone's hearts, reminding us that the responsibility to protect children should never be neglected. Noah Tomlin was born on May 2, 2017, in Hampton, Virginia. With his blue eyes and wispy hair, he was a sweet child who radiated peace and love. Noah's family, though not perfect, was a place where he was expected to grow up with love. However, Noah's life was quickly overshadowed by hardship and family turmoil. Noah's mother, Julia Tomlin, is a 32-year-old woman who has lived in the Hampton Roads area her entire life. As the mother of 10 children, Julia has faced a host of challenges ranging from mental health, including bipolar disorder, ADHD, and PTSD, to addiction. These personal struggles have had a profound impact on her ability to parent. Previously, in 2010, Julia was sentenced to 5 months in prison for child neglect after one of her children was severely burned by an electric stove. Although Julia claimed the incident was an accident, it led to several of her children being placed in foster care. Noah, however, was returned to Julia after a short stay in foster care, along with 2 other siblings. The family lived in a mobile home in Buckroe Beach, a seemingly peaceful coastal community that was fraught with hardship for families in Julia's situation. Noah is a quiet but affectionate child who loves to cuddle and spend time with his mother and siblings. Even as a child, he has faced instability in his family life. Julia, a single mother, struggles to care for Noah and his other children, while also struggling with her own personal dark side. Noah lives in an environment that is not only lacking in material things, but also full of potential dangers. The Buckroe Beach area where Julia's family lives is a small coastal community. Although peaceful with long sandy beaches and cool ocean breezes, it is also the center of many sad stories. Neighbors are familiar with police showing up at Julia's house for family problems. However, they do not expect an unimaginable tragedy to occur in this small house. Noah's story is not only about the boy, but also a reminder of the dangers that children face in unstable families. From the shortcomings of the social protection system to the lack of concern from the community, Noah's plight is a heartbreaking example of how easily children can become victims when no one stands up to protect them. On the morning of June 24, 2019, the seemingly peaceful life in the Buckroe Beach community was disrupted by shocking news. Julia Tomlin, Noah's mother, called the police at 11:36 a.m. to report that her 2-year-old son had disappeared. According to Julia, she last saw Noah at around 1 a.m. that morning, when she put him to sleep in his bed. Immediately after receiving Julia Tomlin's report of Noah's disappearance on the morning of June 24, 2019, Hampton police quickly launched a large-scale search operation. Initially, they focused around the Buckroe Beach mobile home community, where Julia's family lived. Officers searched house to house, checked remote areas, and used dogs to track Noah. The first hours of the search were spent in a spirit of hope, believing that Noah was somewhere close to home. Rescue teams expanded the search to surrounding areas, including parks, beaches, and nearby streams. Drones and divers were also mobilized to search deep water areas. The local community quickly joined in, providing information and assistance in the search. However, as time passed, no sign of Noah was found. This led police to question the veracity of Julia's story. In her first interview, Julia described Noah as a particularly difficult child, usually very well behaved and rarely leaving the house on his own. But when police searched Julia's house, they found suspicious signs, including blood on the walls and objects that had been disturbed. These signs forced them to expand their investigation. After 3 days of searching without any progress, the police shifted their focus from the search for a missing child to a more serious case. They sealed off Julia's home, using it as a crime scene to collect more evidence. Forensic experts were called in to analyze bloodstains and other evidence in the home. At the same time, investigators expanded their search to the landfill and the NASA steam plant, where garbage trucks from Julia's home often dumped their trash. This decision was not based solely on logic, but was also supported by indirect clues from interviews. Several witnesses said Julia had been behaving strangely in the days before Noah went missing, and on June 27th, police held a press conference announcing that they no longer believed Noah was alive. This was a heartbreaking turn in the investigation and shocked the community. Julia Tomlin was arrested the same day on initial charges of child neglect, and authorities announced that she was the focus of the investigation. Meanwhile, officers at the waste treatment plant continued to dig through tons of trash in search of Noah. On July 3, 2019, after nearly 10 days of relentless searching, police found the body of a child in a diaper box wrapped in a trash bag at the waste treatment plant. Based on DNA and forensic evidence, the body was confirmed to be Noah. This news not only shocked the community, but also moved the investigation into the criminal prosecution phase. The relentless efforts of the police force and related organizations have helped to shed some light on the truth about Noah's heartbreaking death, but also raised many questions about the responsibility of those around the boy. During that time, people in the Buckrow Beach community held vigils and memorials, lighting candles together to honor the memory of Noah, an innocent boy who did not deserve such cruelty. After Noah's body was found on July 3, 2019, at the NASA steam plant, the police entered a deeper investigation to clarify what happened to the boy. All suspicions focused on Julia Tomlin, Noah's mother, who reported the boy missing. Forensic experts found multiple bloodstains in Noah's bedroom, on the walls and surrounding objects. In addition, bloodstains were discovered on the bedsheets and clothes left in the trash near Julia's home. DNA testing confirmed that the blood belonged to Noah. A Huggy diaper box that Noah's body had been placed in was thoroughly examined. Trash bags surrounding the box contained Julia's fingerprints and DNA, providing direct evidence of her involvement in the disposal of the boy's body. Julia initially told police that Noah had left the house while she was sleeping. However, her testimony did not match the evidence. During subsequent interviews, Julia changed her story, saying that Noah had drowned in the bathtub after being left unattended. She even described trying to give him CPR without success. However, investigators quickly dismissed this story when an autopsy revealed that Noah's cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. In addition, broken ribs and signs of battered child syndrome suggest that Noah had suffered prolonged abuse before his death. The injuries were so severe that forensic doctors determined that the boy had been abused to the point that his bones could not grow properly. Witnesses provided important information about Julia's unusual behavior. A friend of Julia's testified that Julia had asked him to bring drugs to the house the night before Noah was reported missing. When he arrived, he noticed that Julia was showing signs of being out of control due to drug use. He also last saw Noah in a weakened state, sitting on the living room floor with his siblings. Another witness, the father of one of Julia's other children, testified that he visited Julia on the morning of June 24th, but was not allowed to see Noah. Julia refused to let him into Noah's room, claiming that the boy was sleeping, raising doubts about his true condition. A detailed forensic report showed that Noah had suffered prolonged abuse. The injuries to his body, including a fractured skull and internal injuries, could not have been the result of an accident, as Julia claimed. The medical examiner concluded that the boy had been severely beaten and likely shaken before his death. Based on the information gathered, police also looked into the people who lived with Julia at the trailer. However, there was no clear evidence that anyone other than Julia was involved in Noah's death. Police also investigated Julia's friends, including the person she asked to dispose of the garbage bag containing Noah's body, but found no evidence that they knew about its contents. Psychologists were called in to evaluate Julia's mental state. They found that Julia had a history of domestic violence, drug addiction, and mental health issues such as PTSD and bipolar disorder. However, they also confirmed that Julia was fully aware of her actions and the legal consequences. The results of the investigation strengthened the charges against Julia Tomlin, paving the way for her to be charged with second-degree murder, child neglect, and disposal of a body. This is a pivotal moment in the quest for justice for Noah, a boy abused and neglected by the very person who was supposed to protect him. The investigation into Noah Tomlin's tragic death has focused not only on the forensic evidence, but also on Julia Tomlin's psychology and the circumstances that led to her brutal act. Investigators are faced with the task of deciphering the mother's motives and determining who is responsible for her son's death. Julia Tomlin had a long history of drug abuse, domestic violence, and severe mental health problems. Psychologists believe that the combination of addiction and bipolar disorder may have contributed to Julia's violent and uncontrollable behavior. Julia has been accused of violence against her own children. The most serious incident was in 2010, when one of her children was severely burned after being placed on a stove. Although she claimed it was an accident, investigators said the behavior showed irresponsibility and potential for abuse. Julia admitted to using stimulants the night before Noah was reported missing. Addiction may have impaired her ability to control her behavior and led to her inhumane actions. As a mother of 10 children, Julia faced great financial and emotional pressure. However, instead of seeking help, she turned to drugs and refused to take responsibility for her children. Based on the evidence gathered, Julia Tomlin was identified as the sole suspect in the case. Witnesses, including the drug dealer and the father of one of Julia's children, all confirmed that Julia was the only person with Noah at the time of his death. There was no evidence that anyone else was directly involved in his death. Sadly, Noah had been living in an environment rife with violence and neglect prior to the tragedy. He had been placed in the social protection system, but was later returned to Julia, despite her history of abuse and drug addiction. This raises major questions about the effectiveness of the child protection system in ensuring Noah's safety. An analysis of Julia's motives and actions showed that Noah's death was the result of a series of irresponsible and cruel actions. Julia not only failed as a mother, but also directly caused Noah's death. Identifying her as the prime suspect was not only based on forensic evidence, but also on the responsibility of the investigating agency to ensure justice for a boy who could not protect himself. On June 28, 2019, just days after Noah was reported missing, Hampton police arrested Julia Tomlin, the boy's mother. She was initially charged with 3 counts of child neglect after initial evidence suggested Noah had not disappeared randomly. The investigation continued to clarify Julia's role in the incident. Investigators collected a lot of evidence from the scene at Julia's Buckrow Beach home, including blood samples in Noah's bedroom. This data quickly ruled out the theory that the incident was an accident. Julia was taken into custody, and her other children were placed in the care of child protection or family. With all the evidence, Julia Tomlin was formally charged with second-degree murder, causing Noah's death through violence, child neglect, failing to provide a safe environment for Noah and her other children, desecration of a body, intentionally concealing Noah's death to avoid responsibility. Second-degree murder charges carry a maximum sentence of 40 years in prison, while child neglect and disposal of a body charges add up to an additional 15 years. News of Julia Tomlin's arrest and the details of Noah's death sent shockwaves through the Buckrow Beach community. Neighbors expressed outrage that Julia had a history of child abuse but was still allowed to raise Noah. Some had reported having doubts about Julia's care for her children, but no one could have expected such a devastating outcome. The community held several vigils and memorials for Noah. Several child protection organizations have called for reforms to the social protection system to ensure similar cases do not recur. The Noah Tomlin case is not only a heartbreaking story of negligence and domestic violence, but also a profound wake-up call for the responsibility of society as a whole to protect children. Noah's death revealed serious gaps in the child protection system when warning signs of an unsafe living environment were ignored. Julia Tomlin, a mother with a history of neglectful childcare, failed to provide a safe place for Noah, leading to his tragic death. Julia's sentence of 55 years in prison is a clear demonstration of the need for justice for Noah. While the sentence does not erase the pain, it sends a powerful message that child abuse and neglect will not be tolerated. Despite this tragedy, Noah's memory can be a catalyst for change. The Buckrow Beach community and those who loved him have pledged to protect other children from similar tragedies. Social organizations are using his story to raise awareness about child abuse and promote policy reform. Noah Tomlin, a small boy with bright blue eyes, will forever be remembered as a symbol of the need for compassion and action to make the world a better place for children. His death is a poignant reminder that each of us has a role to play in ensuring that no child is forgotten or left in the dark. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated. Your support means the world to us.